Welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes of Wisdom, a channel dedicated to helping you expand your knowledge and develop a more successful and peaceful mind. My guest today is a psychologist located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, that has been in private practice for over 30 years. She has built a team of therapists as part of her Therapy for Your Life brand. She's also a mother, entrepreneur, painter, writer, spiritual seeker, and all-around amazing person. Welcome to the show, Marianne Van Oyen. Welcome, Marianne.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It looks so nice where you are. It looks so peaceful.
Thank you. And peaceful for me is really important, whether it's peace of mind, peace in my heart, peace in my environment. I need to have light and I need to have calm.
Yeah, it is. I could feel the calmness through there. It's really nice.
Thank you.
I was just speaking with a friend recently, and they have a lot of clutter, right? Like they're not hoarders, but just they have a lot of clutter, and in their space that they, watch TV and stuff like that. There's just stuff everywhere, and I was just talking to them about how energetically it kind of like robs you of your serenity or your peace, right? Yeah. So I don't know how much. I know there's all this like Feng Shui, and it's there's some people that are super into it. There's this one lady that's for the rich and famous, and she swears by it, like that, like money blocks are due to what's set up and how much clutter you have. And she has clients who have she's changed their setup, and suddenly they become very extremely wealthy or get a part in a movie or whatever because of. So I don't know. Personally, I have no real opinion of that. And then I know that Feng Shui, the city, is actually extremely poor city that it's named after. So I don't know. Do you have any opinion on that?
You know what? I'm very open-minded. I'm open to Eastern culture, Western culture. I'm open to spiritual realms. I'm open to what's happening on the planet, different ideas and concepts. So with Feng Shui, I mean, I think there's something to that actually, because you can even think about, you're sitting in a room, you just might have things piled up on a chair. You don't really understand what that's doing to you until you get rid of the stuff that's on the chair. And then let's say that corner is nice and neat. And then you tune into how that makes you feel. It's like, oh, that feels better. I feel clearer. I feel lighter. So I go by, how does something make me feel? It can't hurt. You know what I mean? Moving your furniture around or decluttering closets, or placing things in positions of power, personal power, or, attracting money, as long as it's not hurting anybody, why not try it? If it works for you, fantastic. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay too. However, I think there is something to it. Clutter can be stressful, like you said, and it takes up a lot of room. So whether it's in your physical space or your internal space. And I often find when I myself or other people start to go through closets, get rid of old things, organize their drawers, that's a lot of internal clutter management. And I often find that people are doing that also when they're working on their own internal clutter. So I'll just, like I said, speak for myself. I feel that difference. When I'm doing personal work on myself, for some reason that makes me want to also do decluttering in my environment and vice versa. And then, yeah. So like I said, I subscribe to that to a certain extent. I just go by, well, does it improve my life? Does it improve my energy? Does it make me feel better? If it does, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well said. Because I find the same thing. Just a small, my place is generally very clean, but just sometimes, as you said, there's a jacket on a chair, and there's a book on the couch, and little things like that. And then if I spend 15 minutes just clearing that, and then I go to another room, I go to my bedroom, and then I come back, I just feel oh, I feel like so much better, you know,
Right.
energetically. I know then there's like, if you want to go really deep into it, with their philosophy, they're like, oh, there's like, and I don't know, this is where it's not my field of expertise at all, but they're like, well, the staircase is like at a certain thing. So that's like, and if there's a window there, so it's like, that's your like money going out the window, or that's your energy. So there's so much more to it. But, you know, again, I'm inconclusive, I guess, for myself, because why would somebody pay this lady like ridiculous amounts of money if it didn't have some validity to it? So I don't know, something to look into.
Do what works for you and what brings you that sense of peace of mind.
Yeah, I'm also a firm believer in the if you believe it, it is so. Like you make it so. So if somebody tells you, oh, like, oh, you have been having money problems, but that's okay. It's only because, like as you said, your mirror is the wrong way and your bed is facing north. Like, why isn't it facing southeast? Obviously. And if they convince you that that's been your whole issue, and you believe it, that has in and of itself some power, right? It's like placebo kind of power to it.
Oh, for sure. Believing anything will impact how you think and feel, and then can translate into, without even you being aware of it, subconsciously, unconsciously, however you want to phrase that, uh, it can manifest then itself. So if you believe something very negative and that's what you dwell on, that's where you put your energy, well, that's what then you might have the potential to create. So we need to be careful what we think about, and and how that makes us feel. We also have to be very clear, what do we want and don't want, and what do we want in our lives, and how can we try to help ourselves manifest that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that absolutely. I always say, or often say that, it's what we fear the most or love the most that tends to attract into our life. Those both sides of it, and if you will, it's kind of like a circle, or it's just like the power. So you're putting attention on it, right? So if you're, it's more the intention, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's where you focusing your attention and your energy. If you're only focusing on the negative, um, well, that's what you're going to see, or that's what you're going to fuel, chances more of. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what was it? It was Einstein quote: "The most important decision anyone ever has to make is this a good world or a bad world?" And because if you say to yourself, "This is like a bad world," then that's your experience will be. And if you say it's a beautiful world, then that's what your experience will be. So, yeah, really interesting.
right. So you can you use simple things like, if somebody says, "Oh, think of the color red," all of a sudden, without you even, you're just going to start looking in your environment for things that are red will pop up, because that's what's getting your attention.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's like filters. Talk about that filters, right? Like, so, and that's where I'm a firm believer in affirmations and things like that to help with your filters. So you're seeing the right thing. And there was this, again, I don't know if it's 100% right, but about something like we only perceive 20% of reality of like what we see, and 80% kind of goes by because there's just too many things, right? So we don't go crazy. So if you have a bowl of rice, you're not going to count, right? Like every grain of rice. Then you'd be like, yeah, I don't know. There's probably a word for it, but yeah, you'd be too obsessed with all the details. And for that reason, we kind of, we have to filter. So our mind filters. So in that filter, if it's filtering to see the opportunities and the beauty and love, then we kind of see those things. And if it's negative, programmed or filtered negatively, and then we kind of pick out those things. What's bad today, and who's doing that, and yeah, you know.
And it's not to say, like, let's pretend, the world's an amazing place. There's nothing negative going on, because, you know, we know there's always, always, always something negative going on. It's to say, okay, then what can I do about that? Whether you want to join a movement, a cause, send money, help somebody, be part of the change, send out healing light through vibration and prayer, meditation. what can you do about that negative situation that's happening either in your life or in the world? But then it's to say, okay, that's what I do have control over. But let's look at what else is going on that's positive and productive and inspiring, and put some time and attention and energy into that, because when that becomes your focus, that is also again what you start to attract and vice versa. So it's really about um looking at the whole picture. So it's looking at what you can do about the negative aspects of your life, or that or whatever is happening in the world, and then how can you continue to invest in the positive aspects of your life, or what your dreams or your goals are, what you want to change or what you want to transform, how you can make the world a better place. The more we do that globally, the better condition we'll be in, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that's why it's so refreshing when I met you, is to say that we have um, it's this goal of like like meditation, and then having that individual view. It's a little bit like like a voting or something, where it's like you increase your own vibrational level, and then you send love to the universe. You help people, you look from those things, and every person that does that, and then you kind of add up the or make an average of all the vibrations of everybody becoming the universal consciousness vibration. So all that goes up, and it's the individual work, so it's so important. I find it so selfless to work on yourself.
Yes, and what's interesting, I never really thought about it this way, because we're talking about universal consciousness, or trying to harness our positive energies and intentions, and the more people can do that, the better. In terms of the universe and manifestation, or asking for outcomes, what have you, um, a, a master intuitive that I work with, the other day she was saying, well, people have this misconception about the universe, that it's only positive. But she goes, it's, in her view, it's actually very neutral. The universe doesn't care. The universe will give you back what you want to manifest and ask for. And you can be a person who's like, I want to project positivity into the world, and I really want to manifest peace, let's say. But other people, we might be like, oh no, that's not our agenda. Our agenda is chaos and destruction or whatever. And that can be potentially manifested as well. Hence, you know, what's going on. It all depends on one's intention.
Yeah, intention is, I mean, absolutely huge. Wayne Dyer wrote a great book on the power of intention, and but you have to also be a spiritual, sorry, vibrational match, right, to whatever comes in your experience. So this is kind of a very difficult for some people, um, especially when something kind of odd happens. So, like, let's say it was a minor car accident, you know. So it had to be in your field. You had to somehow have that opening for that to happen, or it shouldn't have happened. Because there's always like both sides. And I think yes, the universe provides you. I couldn't agree more with what your emotion is, what you're feeling, and what your vibration is, and what your focus is. So if you say, I want to be rich, but you feel poor, then you're going to be poor. Like, it's your feeling will overtake that, because that sends that frequency.
Correct. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a neurological neuroscientist, quantum physicist, a spiritual mentor. In his meditations of manifestation, he'll always say, you need to, what's your script? Like, what do you want your script to be? And you need to feel what it's going to feel like when you get there. Picture having it already. And so, to your point, the feeling part of that equation is very, very, very important. Because if it's just intellectual, okay, I really, really, really want to be rich, but you don't feel that and you don't believe that, and you're also not going to do the work to get there, right? Because it takes effort. Well, chances are it's not going to happen. It's just going to be a thought.
Yeah,
That's
oh, for sure. And then it's words. So um, that's why the first thing book that I wrote is on words, right? Because I find what you say is so important. So if you say to yourself as an affirmation, "I want to be rich," then the universe is going to give you more wanting to be rich, right? Not
correct.
being rich. So and then exactly, I'm a big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza as well. And what he says is it releases the chemistry, the neurological chemistry with the emotion, right? The emotion tied to it. So if you want to have more wealth, you exactly what you said. You feel it now. I feel wealthy now, and then never ask for it, because if you ask for it after that feeling, or doubt when it's coming or whatever, then you're negating what you did, the work you just did, because now you're like doubting it, and then you're saying, well, where is it, right? But you already created it, so now your mind is like, well, I thought we're already living it, now you're telling me we're not. So then it's like, it's all confused.
Correct. And then you just keep blocking yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated. We're like, no, but I want that, and I think about that, and okay. But if you're always going, but I wanted, but you don't, like you said, you haven't crossed the bridge to the feeling of having it and knowing how you're going to get there. What's the intention? What's your map? What's your plan? Um, just saying, I want. Okay, you can stand there for the next 50 years saying I
Appa-
want and going, it's not happening. Oh, this doesn't work. This is crap, right? And again, to your point on be careful the words used and the message sent, because I remember years ago, I was really tired and I felt, oh my God, I really need a break. I need a break. I need a break. Oh, I got a break. I broke my leg, right?
yeah.
And a serious break. So it forced me, I couldn't go to work for several weeks. I couldn't do much because I couldn't move. And I was like, oh my God. I got a literal break. I did get a break from work than what I was asking for, but that's not how I wanted it. So I asked, and I received, but
Exactly.
I didn't receive it in the way that was good for me. It gave me a break. That
Yeah,
wasn't.
exactly. I think
Mhm.
the universe or God has a tremendous sense of humor, and I think that there's some spiritual guides high fiving. Hey, look what we did! Like it's hilarious, like an inside joke that we're not privy to. But
So when you said that accidents can show up, lots of things can show up. Um, but if you're not clear, so I think had I been way more clear and listened to my gut, because my intuition told me I was a horseback riding accident. My intuition told me don't go to that lesson. So much so that even when I pulled up in the parking lot, I had an expensive piece of jewelry on. I took it off and I put it in my car for safekeeping because I had a sense something was going to happen. I didn't know what, and bingo. So watch what the message is, the wording, the intention, um, and listen to that deep inner voice. We all have it. We don't we don't always want to hear it, or we don't all have ways to access it. We need peace for that, quiet methodology. um, there's systems, right? Like anything. If I want to cook something, I can, oh, I really want to make a cake. Okay, well, nothing's happening if I just say that, right? But I'm not going to start pulling out flour and sugar and cocoa and if I didn't even know what are the right quantities? What's the right mix? What temperature do I put that in? How do I mix up the ingredients? What's the order? That's a system, that's a recipe, that's a map. And if we don't have those, that's where we can go stay in a standstill, or just, if I throw all those ingredients in a bowl, mix it up, and then put it in a, it's probably not going to work out very well because I didn't have a system. So there, I put all this time, energy, effort,
Yes.
ingredients into a bowl, wanting a cake. And I don't want just any cake. I want a cake that's chocolate, tastes amazing, whatever. But I throw it in the oven, I don't know, like at 600 degrees for 3 hours. I'm going to have just one heavy brick of junk that is nowhere near a cake.
You could have purchased all the right ingredients, could have mixed them well together, and that's an very good analogy, because they talk about that when people put too much force, like they want it now, 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 now. Like, I want to be rich now. I want this now, now, now. And they put so much intensity that it burns the cake. Deepak Chopra talked about this in one of his books, exactly like what you're saying, that it would burn the cake. And then if it's not enough heat, well, it never cooks.
Correct.
Right? So, and that's assuming that you got all the ingredients right already. So that's where I find that difficulty where lies in that thing. Well, what's the right temperature now for the cake?
Right.
So how much emotion, how much patience, how many affirmations is it said right? And then that kind of thing. And then, I got a cake and now I can enjoy it. But those things, it's so difficult to know, because we could take like a stove and say, like now digitally say, it's at, I don't know anything about cooking cakes, so let's just say 400 degrees, I don't know. Then let's make like to bake a cake for. And then the other thing that's interesting is that if you let's say if you said like let's say 400 degrees, let's say it takes, I have no idea, I'm just going to make up something, and it takes an hour to cook a cake at 400 degrees. You couldn't do half an hour at 800 degrees. You know what I mean? It will not work.
Right. So it's really about the ingredients and the recipe and following the proper steps and knowing what outcome, we as people want. And the process, it's really actually very simple if you think about the concept, but that doesn't mean it's easy to do.
Yeah, look, we're gonna go one more step. We're gonna beat this thing to death, this cake analogy. But one other step, they say, yeah, exactly, that have your plan,
Yeah.
okay, have your thing, but you'll never be able to truly see what the universe will unfold for you. So the most important is to have the emotion, the faith, the feeling, like you said, that you already have it, and the faith that it's going to happen. And then the universe will start bringing those ingredients or things into your life that you didn't even know. So, like, you didn't even know you needed cocoa or an egg, but the universe knows that, and the universe knows, okay, you want to have a cake. So when you go out there, exactly, you can't just like go to sleep and like not do anything and be out in the world or talk to anybody, but you go out there and then you meet somebody, and then that person is like, representative of the egg, and that person is representative of the cocoa, and that person's representative, and then you're helping people and they're helping you, and then it's all intertwined, and then boom, the result is that cake, right? So I think it's the other thing too is people go too much on logic and on matter and what they can see, feel, touch, smell, hear, right? And then if you go a little further, that's where the magic is.
Too many of us are living in the material world, and I don't mean that on just on a financial level. I'm talking about concrete things. If people can't see it, they don't believe it. Just because science hasn't proven something yet, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So if we go back hundreds of years ago, we didn't have technology and cell phones and cars and airplanes. And if one person would have started saying, oh my God, one day on this planet, we're going to be able to travel around the world, and we'll get there in hours, and we're going to be able to turn lights on and have heat and cook and watch images, and communicate with people all over the world. And they're like, are you insane? Burn that person. That
Mm,
person's a witch, you know,
absolutely.
at the sake. Because it's like, you're out of your mind. That how's that even possible? It's possible because somebody thought about it. Somebody understood something and they investigated and they through trial and error or what have you, knowledge, experimentation, belief. Look at what we have at our fingertips. Somebody created that. Science could say now, oh yeah, okay. That's why this can happen. That's why this can happen. Science can explain it now, but the potential was always there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's again why such a big fan of Joe Dispenza, right? So like he proves all these things that were, in the Vedas in Indian culture from like thousands BC or whatever were already known, right? And then, as you said, people can't see it and touch it, and it's not in the material world, so they don't believe it. And then this arrogance of it's arrogance by certain people of science. Like science is a developing thing. It's like you have a theory or something like that and disprove it. It's always developing.
Continuously. And I mean, even today, day by day, we're understanding more about the power of the brain and what its potential is, but we're nowhere near understanding what the potential of the brain is and what it can do and not do. I mean, they're, through brain scans, they're starting to look now at, oh, that there actually seems to be a center in the brain associated with spirituality, with past memories, even going into past life memories. So people, I think scientists are trying to connect the dots. And I think I mentioned that the other night to you was my belief is on a spectrum. You've got it seemingly looks like spirituality over here, science on the opposite end of the spectrum. But when you join the line and connect it to make a circle, they are butted up against each other. They're not far from each other. They're actually next door to each other.
And I think both ways, like I think scientists could find a lot of clues in spirituality, and some things of spirituality we could find clues in the science.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just as a kid, as a child, I was going to the library to do my projects. And then there's like internet, and then just to have a phone, like we call them phones still, which is just
Oh,
crazy because they're not phones, they're computers.
computers,
They're computers, and
miniature computers, like unbelievably powerful tools.
yeah, they're like it's like if you go back not far, if you go back to like 1980 something, what we have is like 1,000 times more powerful than the most powerful computer in 1980 in the palm of our hands. It's madness. And then just saying, oh, you know what? Like you were saying before, if you told somebody in 1980, oh, you'd have this in your hand, we'll call it a phone, and it has the answer to every question, like pretty much you could ever ask.
And that's 1980. Go now one decade earlier, 1970. They didn't even have the little small pocket calculator. And then you go back even before that, 10 years before that. Oh my God, no cell phones, no calculators, no computers. The phone's plugged in the wall and it's got the cord attached to the receiver. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
like
I know,
it's,
and it's
that's it. We're talking major shifts in a matter of years.
and it's exponential growth though. That's the scary thing. They say that
Very
you
scary thing, but also see that's the maybe the negative side, but
mm,
also the potentially positive,
oh, hugely,
right?
yeah. So yeah, you know what? Nice catch on that. That was wrongly worded.
It can be scary. There can be all kinds of consequences to this level of technology, whether it's the consequences on the environment, consequences to our physical and
Yeah,
energetic health, consequences to our privacy, consequences to, I mean, you name it. On the other side, oh my goodness, there's the potential for change and growth and community and communication and
Yeah. Well, we don't. They say that the unfortunate damage to the environment, and then a lot of people they're like, well, with the technology that we have right now, we cannot solve all the damage we've done, but someone will come up with definitely something no one's ever thought of that could. That's why I have a lot of hope that will repair a lot of this damage. It's so sad to see the earth being treated in such a hostile manner and such a destructive manner, and things, obvious things like ozone layer, or burning the rainforest, or pollution in the ocean, garbage island. There's just so many, and it's just we got to learn to like recycling. When I go to put out my recycling, you're just like, oh my God, man, like I'm just one person. This is
Oh,
how much,
it's
like
hot.
it's way too much, way too much.
It is way too much. And what's disheartening is, okay. So now there's this concept of recycling, which is good. However, if the plastics were being sent to the Orient to be disposed of, and but all it was doing was being burnt and creating toxic
Mm,
gas for the poor people who live in that country or those countries, um, what? That's not the idea. That's not my idea of recycling. So we need to, wake up and look at the consequences of our choices. I'll make decisions I can live with. If I can't live with the outcome, oops, I better rethink my decision. So I'm really trying to be very mindful of that, because you're right. The amount of recycled garbage that one person produces in a week is ridiculous. What are we doing?
mm.
Like, we're treating animals like they're not beings. It's disturbing me more and more and more and more. And so I'm like, okay, so eat a lot less of that or none of that. Reuse, recycle, repurpose more. Buy things in thrift shops. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any change I can make within reason.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah,
there's I think a lot of it is a lot of good points that you brought up there, and one is that was I did a podcast with my friend Serge, and he was saying he's vegan, and he was just saying that one is just cutting for other people, just cutting down a little bit makes a huge difference. So if you could just everyone could just reduce like 10% of the meat consumption, number one. And number two, he was saying how surprised that friends of his that have like dogs, and if the dog is like ill or a pet passes away, it's like it's so tragic. But then those are the same people eating like meat every single day, right? And then when you look at these things, like I was watching this show called Alone, which is a bit like Survivor, that they survive in the Arctic for 100 days, like with
wow.
nothing, right? So they're hunting their own food, fishing. It's amazing, and it's such an eye opener, because it's to see that we have these grocery stores, and we have all these options. So like we're so spoiled, right? Like, and it's completely different. Like I know I should be a vegetarian because I could not kill the animal. I'd be too sad. If I went and
Me,
killed it, I would and saw the sadness in its eye, and it's looking at me like, why are you killing me? Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't eat it. So I shouldn't, I shouldn't have that right to eat. So I try to minimize, I mean, as much as I can. But really, that's one interesting thing. And then I think it's the perception. If we want to go a little bit deeper spiritually, a lot of these people, and we won't talk politics, but a lot of the politicians, what they do is they make these laws, or they make these things for short-term gain. So if you believe that this is your only life, and when you pass away, you're going to be like lights out, like it never happened, right? Kind of thing, and that's it, like fade to black, and it's done. You live in a certain way, right?
right.
And then if you don't, and it's really selfish too, because you have like, from so many reasons, but you have kids or grandkids or friends that have kids or grandkids or nephews or nieces or whatever. They're inheriting that world, right? And so on. So you're destroying that. But then if you wanted to go further, if you could convince somebody that they're going to reincarnate, right, to that same world that they're destroying, right, and they're going to come back to that world. If you look at the perception that we're all one, it's one thing. If you look at the perception that of the Gaia theory that Earth is a being in and of itself, that we, that was, we're living, we should be living with, not depriving and robbing and paving and all that stuff. It's another perception. If we believe that we're going to have an afterlife, it's another perception. If we believe in reincarnation, it's kind of even another perception. So I think as more enlightened or more self-development is so important to start making more compassionate and empathetic decisions.
Absolutely. I had all kinds of things rushing through my head when you were talking. Just take two people in a relationship, and one person is giving, supporting, giving, and the other one's just taking. And what that giving person getting back is getting from the taker is like abuse or criticism or negative energy, spoiled mentality, what have you. Well, the person who's giving is going to become resentful, but also is just going to run out of that positive energy and the ability to keep giving because they're emptied out. And what they've received in return is the other person's garbage. If we look at the earth as a being, an entity, which it is, it's an entity, it has tons of energy. It produces all kinds of miraculous things from, we have oxygen, we have water, we have nutrition, we have plants to heal us. We have the opportunity to learn and grow. It sustains life. So the earth in the relationship is giving. And we as inhabitants are going, meh, I want more of this. And I don't care about that. And, garbage. Oh, it's cold outside. Oh, it's raining outside. Complain. Throw the plastic in the water, kill the animals, destroy the rainforest. Well, how long is the earth going to put up with that for? And it's already showing its, disdain. The earth is reacting to what's going on. And in the relationship with us as people, it has no issues really with the animals, or the plants. It has issues with us, who inhabit this place and are just going in and doing whatever we want.
Depending on, I know there's all kinds of different theories and stuff out there, but any way you cut it, any way you look at it, and we're going to go this very short, but COVID, I find that we're the disease on the planet, and COVID is its antibodies trying to get rid of this cold or this thing, which is us. And we don't have to, we can be in a symbiotic relationship, but because, as you said, so well, is that we're in this take from the earth, it has to it's trying to just be healthy again. When everything shut down for 3 weeks, there was, and then you could see, the Himalayas, clearly, because all the smog was gone from space. You could see that, that's in 3 weeks. That's what happened.
Incredible.
And it's amazing. And that's not such a big eye opener. So it was for the earth was kind of having really bad asthma, and suddenly for 3 weeks it could breathe again, and it's just an eye opener. There's such an amazing natural balance to earth, of watching those things where they remove, if there's too many wolves removed, or there's too many this, it's such a perfect dance and a perfect balance. And I find one of the most sad things is paving all the roads, and I think of that for myself. If I was if I was the earth, it's and you have your skin or your thing, and it's someone's paving over it. You know what I mean? It's how unnatural. Yeah, exactly. You can't breathe anymore.
Things are always happening on the planet. They've always happened. Things will continuously happen because that's just, we're not in a static situation. We're in a relationship. And relationships have ups and downs depending on how the two entities coexist together, right? How do we compromise? How do we negotiate this? So whether it's me and someone else or us humans and the planet, we're still in a relationship, and we need to understand what our responsibility is and our commitment to the relationship and making it the best relationship possible. And we have a long way to go for sure, but there are always opportunities for change. So even with COVID, I know for myself, I was in shock. Then it's like, okay, I can go into the state of fear and panic and what have you, or I can say, no, why is this happening? Where's the opportunity for change? How can I use this time? How can I help people? How can I stabilize myself? What are the lessons to be learned? So I chose to, let's say, swing into the positive, productive side because that works better for me. But I think it just works better for the greater good. I think honestly, so many people and a lot of people I spoke to, once people recovered from the panic attack or the psychic attack or the shock state of shock, right, of learning about what COVID was going to be for us, many people secretly were like, you know what? I was asking for something to change. I was saying, I can't keep doing this. I need a break. I want to stay home with my kids more. I want to simplify my life. I want to make a change, but I don't know how because we were going, 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, how long can we keep that up? So here, boop, it froze us in our state of activity and momentum and said, no, okay, no, there's something going on. We're slowing everything down and we're stopping things for a while, reset. So many people were like, secretly, I was happy to stay home. Secretly, I was needing the break. Secretly, I was happy not to have to run around to 25 different places a week. Secretly, I needed the change. So it's like, oh, okay. So it seemed to answer, obviously. There are hundreds of thousands of people that have died, and that's a tragic thing. But on the other side of the coin, it is an opportunity. That's how I see it. Opportunity to go, whoop, what do we need to be more aware of? And how can we work with this to make it meaningful? So all of this didn't happen for nothing.
There is something to that, to a universal consciousness. And that was a little bit like what I was saying, where things go so fast and we get in such routines. And because it's 95% subconscious, so we're just kind of like running this pattern and 5% conscious, like you're saying, people are just running this pattern and they don't even know how to get out of it, because it's like a lot of people have this life where they have like their job and then their kids, they pick up the kids, drop off the kids, make the supper, make the lunches, and they're just exhausted and they go to bed and they have a very short time to go to sleep, and then let's do it again, right? Let's start over again. And it's like they can't get out of it, right? And it's because things are going so quick
Too
and we're
fast.
so like plugged in because we have this cell phone and we have the emails and we have this thing, so it's like you're never off the grid now, right? You're just like you're always on. I think that's difficult. I think that there was a gift for some people, very much so, to have time. Some people, it was amazing to listen, and you probably heard a lot more interesting stories than me, but some people said, oh, like I said, what did you do during this time? And they said, oh, I drank more and, watched a lot of, I subscribed to Crave and Netflix and Amazon Prime and all this stuff. That was some people. It was in that category. Alcohol sales went through the roof. And other people did find, that thing, that chance to say, okay, I want to spend time with my kids. Oh, it was so beautiful because now I could be with my kids in color and kind of do this homeschool and stuff like that. That was great. And then some people said after, obviously, sadly, there was a lot of domestic abuse. So that's the crazy other thing. And then, so it brought out a lot of interesting things that were, let's say, hidden, and expose them, right, to themselves, to their partners, to their family, their true colors. And I think again, it's a perception of life and death. So like speaking with Emmanuel, right, very much through, and he always brings up conversations with God and saying that, well, is death bad, right? So I would rather easily, and knock on wood because I don't want to create this, but I would rather like die than be like I think some people are in a worse position, having a family and they've lost their job and lost their company and lost their health, and but they're still alive. You know what I mean? Just suffering. Or you could like be dead and now you're in the next world and you're back with like, at home, and you're back, in a surrounded with love and light, right? So it's a perception of what it is. For some people, I think it's very, death is just a transition. It's neither good nor bad. It's sad for the people around you because they mourn you. But I think
Yeah.
for the actual person, it's like way, way better than this world, that we're in.
Yeah, and I think also depends on who you are as a person, because I do believe there's karma, and whatever you did on the planet, you take that with you, and you have to reconcile that. And whether that means you, well, I don't know, but you live on the other side, or you have to come back here and reincarnate, and you're going to reincarnate into a situation that's going to make you have to deal with that, whatever you produced or created on the planet, good or bad. Whether you believe in heaven or hell, whether you believe in reincarnation, whether you believe in ascension, there's checks and balances. I think you have to pay the piper some way, somehow. There's no way I think that you can just do whatever you want and get away with it, and it's not going to have any repercussions for you as a person or your soul. Who knows, until I guess
Right.
we can experience that 100%. But I've had many different, spiritual experiences where I'm like, oh, okay, this whole planet thing and being on, that's way bigger than me or us. There's no way that we could be the only people, in all the universe of universes living on a planet in this organized way, and it's just that. Oh, I
No.
know. You're born, you do this, you go to school, you get a job, you have kids, maybe, whatever, you die. That's it. That's, to me, that's that material concrete thinking. It doesn't make any sense to
Yeah.
me.
No, for sure. And there was this really cool video about a year ago on Facebook where they started out with this. I don't know if you've ever seen it, with this girl, and she's lying down, and it starts from her eye, and then and you see in her eye, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it starts going to the, our solar system, the galaxy, and on and on and on, and then it starts showing, right, how, first of all, how small the Earth is, then how small like our galaxy is, like the Milky Way, as compared to when you start going, and it's up and up and up and up, and then yeah, and then it's like we're like our whole solar system is like an insignificant little speck of dust compared to what the known universe is, right? That's always expanding. And then they do the opposite, and they go all the way back down, and they go into our eye, into the smallest, smallest, smallest particle. And the smallest, smallest, smallest particle, it looks the same as the biggest, 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 because it's like, atoms going around, neutrons, electrons going around, and it's so, so cool.
We That is amazing, and yes, so true. And is, what are we? We are energy. If we die, it's not like our body stays like that for the next, 10,000 years. It's quickly going to, dehydrate, and it's quickly going to decompose, because there's no energy in that anymore.
Right,
Energy
exactly.
is
Right.
somewhere else,
Yes.
whatever you believe it to be.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I think um I always say, like, we're stuck, we're in the human experience, but we're in the experiment, and we can't see it correctly because we're in it, right? And
Yes.
that's when you start seeing, I think, a bit more is when you go, and Dr. Joe Dispenza, no place, no time, no, right, no thing, when you get that state of meditation, that deep level of meditation where all those things cease to exist for you, then you start seeing a true perception of life. And all these things, like, again, we're watching this show, and to see that the majority of human existence, we had to hunt and gather and live off that thing. So now
Survive.
yeah, and now we have, no longer survival mode. That's one thing that's obvious, always hurting us actually right now, is our brain is still in survival mode, still looking out for the bear or the lion that's gonna like get you or whatever, when we have grocery stores. And and we're fully safe and protected. So I think there's that transition, and that's the other thing to tie in to when I was saying it's scary, is because we don't have time to test anything anymore. So like something that used to be like a big deal would come out, it would be like every 5 years, like, oh my God, there's this new technology. And now that like that we used to be every 5 years is like now every like month there's a new thing or a new company or new stuff. And then I was looking at Uber, and they were talking about Uber and Lyft just this week, and they're talking about, and I hope somebody watches this in like 5 to 10 years from now. This that we're talking about right now, they're talking about Uber and Lyft and how there's now that they have to treat their drivers as employees. And this guy's talking on TV saying it's not such a big deal because we're a few years away from autonomous drivers. All the drivers are going to be let go anyways. So
Yeah.
why are we even like, it's just crazy, right? But he's right. He's absolutely right. And he's saying, well, driving is so dangerous because of the human aspect, right? Because humans get tired, humans can get distracted, have something on their mind, all this stuff. Now, if the computer, the driving, I would feel much more safe if everything was connected. And I think with 5G, that'll be possible to have everything connected in GPS. So this car knows where that car is, where every car is. And then there'll be no more accidents, no more drinking and driving, no more stuff like that. That's amazing. And there's so many.
I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, yeah, the drinking and driving part. Yeah,
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
no. And that's they like with the alcohol thing. Like I have not had a drop of alcohol since 2020 January 1, and that's not because I'm an alcoholic, just because I was like, it's a personal challenge. And I'm like, oh, go figure. But thank God, in a way, I made that decision because I probably would. The SAQ is just down the street.
So listen, Marianne, we're over our time together, and I know I want to be respectful of that. So there's just last question I wanted to ask you is just one is like for the listener, how do people get in contact with you if that's possible? I don't know if you're taking new clients or something like that, because you're such an amazing, unique point of view and a really enlightened and it's fantastic. So is there a way that people can contact you?
Absolutely. So you can find me at therapyforyourlife.com. So I have a website. You can find me on Instagram also. That's my handle, Therapy for Your Life. And my landline, I still have a landline, is 514-697-2929. If you Google my name, you'll find me in different settings and listings. So yeah, I'm pretty easy to find.
Okay, fantastic. So it's therapyforyourlife.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay. So with that, there's so much more to talk about. I think we definitely have to have a part 2 to this in the very near future. So hopefully you'll come back as a guest again. Awesome. So with that, Marianne, I wish you a successful and peaceful mind and a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Have beautiful energy around you. Enjoy your day.
Okay. Bye, Marianne. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.